All right, guys, we are live once again, Thursday evening, second podcast guest. I'm really excited to be bringing you guys these resources back to back to back. If you're just now joining us live here today and you haven't seen any podcast, make sure you go join us in the DMV Homeschoolers Field Trips and Co-ops page. Follow us there for all of our leaders, all of the things that we have going on this month. If you're just now joining us and you're on my main page and you're not a homeschooler, sit tight. We're going to talk to you tonight too. I'm really excited. I have another amazing homeschool director here tonight that's going to share with us some of the things that she's working on, ways that she's been able to find resources and provide those for families. And then to give us a little bit of feedback about what she's got coming up in the future for her organization that's going to contribute to our community's excellence in education. So tonight we've got Lakiesha. Now listen, I want you to tell us in your own words who you are. I'm going to go on mute so my background isn't loud while you saying what you got to say. You're on mute.
All right, there we go. My apologies. All right, so I am Lakisha Tibbs. I am located in PG County in Maryland. I am the owner, founder, and director of IMEC Academy, which stands for Intelligent Minds, Early Childhood Academy, and Kindergarten Prep. I also have a branch off of that program, which is IMEC Virtual Learning Academy. Our program is hybrid. So we do have some students that attend in person, but we also have students that are attending that live in other states. We have students from Detroit, some students in Texas, some students in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and a few other states as well as we have Virginia and we have DC. My program is for ages 3 and up. However, we do occasionally have some 2-year-olds and some 1-year-olds that utilize our services. Most of the services that they utilize are hybrid services. If they are in person, it's for probably like an hour or so. Otherwise, our kids are 3 and up. And I am a mother. I have 3 kids and a bonus son. So my oldest 2 are 23. My middle child is 19 and my baby is 17. And I started out as a home daycare. And I transitioned because I could not find what I needed for my children. And so I built it. I don't knock anyone that utilizes the school system. I think that there are different paths for different families, and I support all families that are on all different journeys. But for me, I'm thankful that I was able to recognize some of those paths for my children. And so I started out as a home daycare, and then I pivoted and I changed it over to a microschool and an academy.
So, for someone who's just now coming across your path for the first time ever, what led you to found IMEC Academy and become an educational advocate for so many families?
So I had some really negative experiences with the public school system and my children. My middle child is special needs. She's high functioning. She has autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. And I struggled with getting support for her in school. I struggled with the school recognizing that I did not place a ceiling or a limit on my child. And they so comfortably put one there. And I had issues with that because I didn't feel like they had the final say. And so, again, with a lot of things in life and in my journey, I pivoted and I changed it. I pulled her out. Emotionally, she was affected by a lot of things in school. And then also running my programs, I noticed that there were other children that were utilizing my home daycare at the time that also were being affected by different things in school. My belief was that these are children. They're not factory built. There is no cookie cutter system. And I had an issue with a system that was pushing it as if it was a cookie cutter system. And so I didn't like that. My kids were not benefiting from the way things were going within the school system. And so I pulled them and I changed over my program so that I could homeschool. And I started homeschooling my kids. And then I started to offer support in homeschool for other children. I've always written curriculums from when I've owned my daycare. And so I continued writing curriculums. And then I also supported homeschool families by writing curriculums for them as well.
Beautiful. Okay, so how has the philosophy of one path to education success and only the right path for each child. Instead of saying there's only one way to get this done, but there is a way, we just have to identify it. How did you come to that conclusion and creating that while you were serving homeschool, public school, and private school families?
So just basically, my children have been that driving force for everything with me. Again, I mentioned that I have 3 kids and I have a bonus child as well, and they all have different educational journeys. Just recognizing that it's not a one size fit all, for one, and that we are not supposed to be searching, in my opinion, for the best school. We're supposed to be searching for the best fit. And so once we change our mindset and we look for what fits each of our children, you become more comfortable finding what works for you because you're no longer stuck to what society thinks and judgment, and none of those things matter. And so my oldest 2 children graduated from public school. They actually went to Suitland High School, and they both own a creative arts program. It's called Vivid Dreams Studios LLC. And they have been running that program for quite some time now. They're 23-year-olds that are running an LLC, that do summer camp, that do creative arts, that are building self esteem. They're creating classes for the homeschool community. My middle child is 19. That's my child who was on the spectrum, and we struggled with just support for her in the school system. She graduated early through homeschool. She started attending college, and she's still continuing with college, and she's currently running an art program for the homeschool community as well as for just kids that are in public and private school as well. And so she's building things. And then my baby is 17, and he's helping me in the summertime doing summer camp, helping with like coding and robotics things for our summer camp. So he has 3D printers and is teaching the kids how to do some of the things with that. My 17 and 19-year-old are homeschooled, and they have been homeschooled for over 10 years. My oldest child, again, the older ones graduated from public school. And so for me, it was, what did my children need? It wasn't, well, what is society going to think of me, or what is my family going to think? Once I got past the realization that I literally had everything I needed to provide for them, because for me, that was a stigma that I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a strong educator, or, I don't have all these letters and things behind my name. And so it was a lot of fear in just starting to homeschool. But with everything, once you start, the path and the journey is amazing. And so I was comfortable with, just starting. And once I started, I just continued, and I pulled my kids out one at a time. I did a year for the first child, and then I pulled my next child out, and then I just continued. And now we have like 48 families enrolled in our program that are utilizing our services.
This is amazing. So I hear you speaking on the involvement of your older children, and truly, you've got a bunch of young adults now that are kind of spearheading your vision. Tell us, because I mean, mine's 20, and then I have a 19 or 18-year-old, so I've got two young adults. But tell us, how have you been able to get them on board for supporting homeschoolers, and what are some of the things that you see developing? Because a lot of people, like, I had this conversation with Anita Gibson the other night. A lot of people forget it's still parenting after 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Like, you're still parenting. So give us some insight on how you've been able to get those young adults involved in what you're doing.
Honestly, just modeling, just living that life. Like, my children were raised in my home daycare, so they saw the work, they saw the drive, they saw the tears, they saw everything, all the changes, the ups and downs. My program initially was 85% voucher program. And so there were things that the state did that they probably shouldn't have, and it affected how a lot of home daycares operated as home daycares. And so some of that was a driving force for me to pivot, but my kids were there with me from the beginning. I've always been transparent and honest with them, and I've always done my best to explain to them what's going on and why it's going on and how we can avoid this, because my goal is for them to see my journey and then make a decision based on what I've done, and see if that works for them or if they want to do something different. I've never forced them to do anything. I just encourage and, just give insight and input on it and allow them to make their own decisions. Honestly, it's been beautiful to step back as a parent, raising kids, a single parent at that, raising my kids, and to be able to step back and see just how amazing they are and the things that they're able to do. My older two actually are putting on an event this weekend on Saturday at Creative Suitland. And so this is their big event. Like I said, they run a creative arts summer camp. And so they have homeschoolers, but they also have kids in public school and in private school. And because my home daycare and everything that we've done has been so diverse, meaning it didn't matter where the kids are coming from. None of those things matter. What matters is that these are kids and they all deserve an amazing education and an amazing experience. And so, because we moved with that mindset, my kids have naturally picked those things up. And so they are recognizing and seeing just some of the amazing things that are happening in the homeschool world, the stigma that kids are under socialized because they're homeschooled and things like that. Like my kids laugh at things like that because they see that that's not a thing at all. Like even with what you have coming up on the 31st, there's going to be so many children at this event. There's going to be so many opportunities for our children to socialize. And the fact that these children are parented, the way they socialize is going to be so different than you putting children in a space and saying, you guys typically have 20 minutes to socialize at lunch and 20 minutes for recess. But if you're not quiet in class, I'm going to take your recess and give you silent lunch. That's not socializing. And so my kids were able to see the difference between what everyone is expecting or assuming and what it really is. And because of that, they've been able to just create and create and create. And I'm just excited to see what comes next with them. There hasn't been a whole lot of, I guess, frustrating parenting. I know parents are like, oh, well, they're teenagers and they're so hard. I didn't have those experiences with my kids. Our journey has been amazing. And like I said, I'm really honest with them and they're really open and honest with me. And so I've always supported the things that they've done. Like my daughter, who's running the creative arts program, she was writing plays and monologues for my home daycare when she was in middle school. As a family, were recording plays that she wrote when she was in elementary school. And so I've always nurtured and poured into whatever their interests were so that they naturally could follow whatever path or journey that was. And I think that that also helps that they're really comfortable being who they are. And I've always said to them a few things. One of the things was that, you are a natural leader and sometimes being a leader is lonely, but it's okay. You can lead and you don't need a whole entourage with you to lead. Sometimes the journey that's for you is just for you. And then the other thing I always tell them is that life's lessons repeat until lessons are learned. And so just remembering things and if not wondering, well, why does this keep happening to me? But recognizing what's going on. And so some of those things have helped with the parenting. But yeah, the parenting never stops. But it's absolutely a beautiful journey.
I keep telling myself I'm overwhelmed with the abundance. I'm so excited about the abundance, right? We put 2 kids in college at one time. Who does that? Like, what are y'all thinking? And we're getting ready to roll out another one. So I admire a lot of the moms that I've been working with, a lot of the directors that have been on this podcast, just like yourself, who have graduated multiple adult children from high school and college and have this, banner to kind of wave for us to be like, hey, you can do it too. I really admire it. I'm so grateful for you for being the example. I want to ask you a question that I thought was funny. Many parents feel pressure to fit their children into traditional education models. Like we have this in our mind that you got to go get in the box. It has to be a certain way. Why do you think we've been taught there's only one right way to educate children? And what would you say to families who are afraid to choose a different method, even though they know it's probably better?
So I think that it's honestly been like literally something definitely that we've been taught, but more or less something that shouldn't be normal, but we've unintentionally normalized it. And so people have this thought process that kids need to be in the best school and they are looking at ratings and test scores and, oh, this is the best school. But no one is pausing to see, is this best school the best fit for your child? And so again, I go back to like, one, we have to learn who our children are and how they learn and understand and recognize how important it is to put them in the spaces that meet them exactly where they are. Like our goal shouldn't be for our kids to rise to whatever level we're on, but meet them where they are and work with them so that naturally that can happen. And so a ton of parents, like even in my program, I have families who come to me for tutoring and their kids are in private schools. I have families that come to me for tutoring and their children are in public schools. I also have homeschool students that come to me for tutoring. And so I always tell them that my job and my goal is to support families in whatever way I can. And there's no judgment on my end. Every family should choose whatever journey they feel works best for them in regards to education. But also, it's important to be honest and reflect and make sure that whatever journey you feel works for you is actually working for your child, because they are the ones that are going through it. They are the ones that are experiencing it. And so when we're dealing with kids, like I have some children that come to me, I do mentoring. I have some middle schoolers that come to me for mentoring, and emotionally, they're exhausted. Emotionally, they're defeated, and they're in private and public school settings, but because of how the schools are run or the classroom size or the teachers that are frustrated and all the other things that go into what impacts and affects these kids are having a really hard time in school. And so some of these kids literally came just thinking that they weren't smart, that they couldn't do the work. And me teaching them that all you need is a person that cares. That's it. Somebody that's patient and somebody that cares and someone that believes in you. And when we do those things, and we naturally teach our children to believe in themselves, to be patient with themselves, to work harder and things like that. And so for parents that are afraid, I encourage them to step outside of the box. I tell my kids all the time, jump. I promise you, God's got you. Jump. And whenever it's something that we fear, you jump and you move with faith, knowing that if it's something that you really feel and you really want, then it's probably for you. And it's okay to walk that journey and know you may not have a whole bunch of people cheering you on initially, but I promise you, when you walk that journey, that the support that you need is going to be there, because we literally are equipped with everything we need to do all the things that we're supposed to do. And so I just encourage them to try it out. Whatever path it is, if they are doing public school and they're thinking private school or homeschool, just give it a try and see. But when you're doing those things, make sure that you're checking in on your kids to make sure that it's the best fit for the child, not the most prestigious school and things like that, because those things don't matter in the end if you have a kid that's excelled academically and emotionally they're defeated.
Mm,
It doesn't help. And
you
it's really
preaching
hard
now, you
to,
preaching.
yeah, because
No,
those
that's
things,
really good.
I experience a lot of that with our kids that come in, especially from mentoring. Like, some of our middle schoolers have the most mental health breakdowns, and it's scary to hear that these kids are ready to give up, that they're saying prayers that today's their last day and they don't have to wake up again because of all the things that they're experiencing in school. And all it takes is for a parent to pause for a second. Let's think outside of ourselves and let's see what's really going on with our kids. Talk to them, have conversations, and figure out what's going to actually work for the kid, what fits them best, not what it looks like. So,
No, I appreciate that. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna pivot really quick because I want to take it to a different age group. You have such a plethora
okay.
of experience. This is a question that I get all the time. What age should I start putting education in front of my child? And then I feel like we probably both align. I grew up in a daycare in my mom's house. So my mom had a daycare. I'm the adult that turned into the homeschool mom, right? Like, we've been doing this for a minute.
Yep.
So I'm curious what do you say to your young parents who have brand new babies? And I know daycares sometimes are equipped to establish an education, focus for the babies, but what age would you say? And then what are some of the things that you would tell these toddler moms?
So, I grew up in my aunt's home daycare, and I absolutely loved it. As a kid, I wanted to own a daycare, and that was my thing, and I did. And then I pivoted. I have a program within my program. It's called Early Educators Program. And this is a program where I teach virtually while I have preschoolers and toddlers in my program for that hour session. And I'm teaching on Zoom to other childcare centers in different states. And my aunt's program also is a part of that program. So to that, I say, honestly, education begins at birth. When you hold your baby, talk to them, read to them, sing to them, speak to them. They learn emotion. They're learning words. They're learning vocabulary. They learn comprehension. We do audiobooks with our kids all the time, because what I've learned is that kids don't know how to listen, because it's not they're in this iPad era where everything is click, 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 and it's so fast that no one is thinking and no one is requiring them to pause, to think, to comprehend, and to communicate about all the things that they have learned. And so we listen to audiobooks and we pause in between the books, and I'll ask, well, what just happened? Well, where do you think they are? Well, what does this sound like? How do you think they feel? Like all these different questions. And these are 2 and 3 and 4 year olds. So I think that education begins in the beginning. I don't think that there's a number. I don't think that we should wait until 9 or 10 or 5. I don't feel like you should be pushing a bunch of worksheets, but I think that they should have exposure to things. In my programs now, as well as in home daycare, all of my children first learn how to write using shaving cream because we do things that are sensory. And when we do things that are utilizing our senses, our brain allows it to be embedded in it more. And so all of our children learn how to write their name, their sight words, and different things, their letters, and shaving cream first. Even my homeschoolers now, my middle and high school homeschool students now do spelling tests with me with shaving cream sometimes, just because it's fun, just because it takes away the stress of, oh my gosh, it's a test. And so we literally clear the table and spray shaving cream, and I call out spelling words and they write them out because why not? And I tell them all the time, we're homeschoolers, we can do what we want and we can have fun with it. So, yeah, I think that education begins in the beginning. I think that it is important to expose toddlers to a variety of different ways of learning so that you can learn and see how your child learns so that you can best capture those things and support it and foster it more. I don't think that we should do a lot of testing at any age, but that's just my opinion. I think that we're not the way that testing is done like in certain schools and stuff. I think that it should be done more natural as in observations and just interaction and things like that. Whereas, it's not every day we have a heavy test and things like that.
Okay, next question. You've supported countless families of children with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, speech and language delays, and other learning differences. Do you think parents are often made to feel like they have to fight to get their children the support they deserve? What advice would you give families about coming confident about advocating for their children with special needs?
So, yes, I don't think that they feel like they have to fight. I know that they feel that because they come to me and we have those conversations. And I, as a parent of a child with special needs, had those conversations and had that frustration and had those journeys, which is why I created some of the programs and things that I've created. Like I sit with the families for the IEP and the IFSP meetings. I'll hop on a Zoom with them. I help them look over the goals and we make sure that the goals actually make sense and they're not goals that are almost insulting to the child and the parent. It's super frustrating. But for me, what I tell all of my parents that utilize those services from me now is that eventually our babies are going to have a voice. But until they do, we are that voice. That means you advocate. That means you push. That means you keep going. And as we're showing that strength and that dedication, that's something that's naturally pouring into that child. My 19-year-old advocates for herself now because she saw me advocate for her from the very beginning. I fired doctors. I fired ABA therapists. I paid out of pocket for services that insurance wasn't going to cover just because of the customer service in some of the spaces. I declined services in spaces where people put a ceiling and a limit on my child because I never gave them permission to do that. And so I think that it's important for parents to be comfortable advocating. Like we are, our job is to protect our babies and to keep pushing. And it doesn't matter for me, it doesn't matter what people think about, oh, well, she seems aggressive or she's, going against the grain or whatever it is when it comes to me speaking up for my baby, because this is how we teach them to speak up for them. And the reality is all of us one day are not going to be here and our babies are going to have to figure it out. And to us, they will always be babies, but she's 19. She's not a baby to the world. And no one's going to put a sticker on her and says, oh, well, she has autism and dyslexia. Be patient. Those things don't really happen. And maybe they do for some people, but I can tell you that I've not experienced that and I've not met a person that it's happened for. And so for me, my goal has always been to advocate, to speak up, to teach her, have her be a part of that journey with me so she can do it for herself. And when she's uncomfortable, when doctors are rushing her or they're disrespectful, because sometimes they are, she will nicely check them and be like, hey, you don't have to talk to me like that. Before you grab me, talk to me and let me know that you're going to touch me. Tell me what you're doing. Don't use all these words that don't make any sense. Like, have a conversation with me. I'm a person. And this is important. Even one of her assessments at one time, they were like, "Oh, she speaks so well." And she was like, "Yeah, I'm a person. I'm supposed to be able to talk. What did you think I was going to do?" And they were just kind of looking at her like, "Okay." And she was like, "Yeah." So then she let them know, like, and she said her name, and she was like, "That paperwork is just paperwork. That's not who I am. That's not my title. That doesn't define me." And they were just looking like, "Okay." But it's important to teach those things to our kids. And those things, our children, I've learned so much from my kids. I've gotten so much strength, so much confidence, so much self-esteem just from looking at my kids. And so as much as I pour into them, sometimes I'm silent and I let them pour into me because it should be a give and take. It isn't I'm the adult and I know everything and this is just what it's going to be. But there are so many lessons we can learn from our kids and there's so much that we can give to them. And the reality is we won't be here forever. So it's important to pour into them the things that we know they're going to need to be self-sufficient when we're not here. Because I don't want my child to be dependent on anyone. I want her to be able to do things on.
Girl, you listen. It's the baby saying I'm a person for me. Like, like at the end of the day, I was at a modeling rehearsal with my 13-year-old daughter the other day. We're in North Carolina, and there was a young lady that is also learning to model. She's in her early 20s, but she has autism, and she introduced herself, and then she said, I am learning better social skills through modeling. So she's trying out modeling to try to, put herself in a position as someone who has autism, who may not be comfortable with certain things. And it was so good for me. And I'm just like, it took me to the moon because then when she modeled, baby, she was a star. And
I
then
love
I'm
it.
like, come on, you guys are superheroes. Golly. Okay, so I have a special place in my heart for students with special needs. And I'm always looking for them. Most children, especially small children with autism, are drawn to my energy. So I get the kids coming to me, even the ones that are shy. So I love it, and I'm just so happy to hear another mom say, "I fired a pediatrician. They had
Several
to
of them.
go."
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, this is my kid and I get to choose. I get to choose. And I think someone just needs to have a banner at every birthing event and just say, "This is your baby. You get to choose." It's just like giving the person permission, right? And a lot of our young moms, their parents are busy and trying to also still carry the weight of being a parent to them and, adult responsibilities, and things happen so quickly. Sometimes people just don't get the support they need or the permission they need to advocate. I was a 21-year-old new mom, and I can remember it was like four aunties in there telling me and my mama and all of, there's always been that for me. So I'm just really blessed that I have as many directors as you, just like yourself, here, that can come and just say the same things. Like, it's just a reiteration. I know we have Keisha Berry coming to our conference in August, on August 1st. Keisha Berry is a spectrum leader and expert in special needs as well. And I hearing you say it, I just feel like, oh, this is good. They're here. I've got the warriors. I've got them, and this is right. So I'm
Yep.
looking
She's
forward.
amazing. I had the
My
opportunity to
gosh.
briefly meet her, but she's amazing. I've heard so much about her, and she's actually not far from where I'm located either.
The thing is, we've got some really powerful people in close proximity, and I'm so excited that we're uniting and we're organizing and we're getting the word out and we're snatching up these moms and dads that are new and like, "Get over here, baby. You want to try this out? Nope. Go over there to that co-op. What you think about that one? Oh, we got something over here. It's non-religious. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we
That
have got to be that for our community because
Yeah.
it
It's
wasn't there
not a
for us.
one size fits all. It's
It's
not, and
not.
that's what people have to realize and think and be comfortable with.
Right. It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay. Okay. Let me make sure I didn't over ask the question. What has homeschooling taught you about trusting your child's individual journey instead of comparing to someone else?
So, homeschool has taught me so many things. We don't even have time to go over all the things that it has taught me, but it has allowed me to be comfortable in not comparing. When my kids were in public school, I think that that was a natural assumption that we are to compare our kids because that's what the schools are doing. they're comparing testing and they're comparing behavior and they're comparing development. And this is a norm. And then when I paused and slowed down for a moment and was running my home daycare and was just teaching one child, and I noticed all the amazing things that she could do. I didn't know that my daughter was a natural artist. I didn't know that she could look at something in freehand. I didn't know that both of my girls could literally look at things in freehand. I didn't know that my son could do mental math like it's nobody's business. I didn't know those things because my kids were initially in public school. They don't highlight those things. Everybody gets the same trophies and certificates. And if you show up, then you get an attendance certificate and so there was no celebrating the individuality of my kids until I pulled them on and started to homeschool, and I started to recognize and notice just different things in them and their natural comfortableness and confidence in trusting me to be able to give them what they needed allowed me to trust the process even more. Uh, My daughter, like I said, she did some spelling tests with shaving cream. We did spelling tests. She's, on the spectrum. And so a lot of things for her needed to be sensory for her to remember it. She had magazines. She would cut the letters out of the magazines and I would call out the word and she would already have her letters pre-cut and she would build her letters. That helps with children that have dyslexia. If they're building those letters, they're retaining and remembering it because they're doing the physical work of it. And so it's more embedded in the brain. We would go to Sky Zone and jump on the trampoline, and I would give her a spelling test and record her on a video while she was jumping and spelling the words, because sometimes she couldn't get it out by writing it. The letters would be in the wrong order, but she knew how to spell it. And so it was just trusting my kids and allowing them, like literally shutting up and pausing and letting her lead me and being okay with the fact that my child was leading her education, because in reality, that's what it should be. They should be the leaders of their education because it's for them. Our job is to foster it, to build on it, to add more things to it, to enhance it. But it's her journey. And so for me, just allowing my kids to take space within that space and be confident gave me more confidence and comfortableness in being able to homeschool.
Okay. Before we wrap it up, last question. If one parent listening today feels overwhelmed trying to make it the right educational decision for their child, rights in quotations, what encouragement would you have or would you leave for them?
Would say that the reality is that there's so many things I want to say, but for them to remember, because most people that are looking for a different journey are because there have been some type of academic deficits or some struggles or something is going on to where they're recognizing that it just doesn't fit and they're not quite sure what to do. And so, first and foremost, I would say that their child isn't behind, because a lot of people get stuck on this. Oh, my kid's delayed, my kid's behind, and they're exactly where they're supposed to be. They're becoming exactly who they're meant to become. And it's okay if that journey looks different than other people's journeys. It's not supposed to be the same. So it's okay to look different than anyone else's. But trust yourself and try new things and don't feel so stuck or pressured to stay in one path, especially if all the signs are showing up that that path is not a good fit for your child. Like, trust yourself and do like I did. Like I said, my child led her educational journey. I just fostered it. I just built onto it. But she showed me what she needed. And because I was patient and quiet enough and I trusted the process, we were able to get to where we were, to where I pulled my child out and she was barely reading at a kindergarten level, to fast forward to she graduated high school early through homeschool. And the doctor said my baby would never read, ride a bike, tie her shoes. And she's getting ready to build an LLC for her art program that she's been teaching art classes. So they don't have the final say. And just recognizing those things, like that, we don't have to place a ceiling or a limit on our children. And we don't have to have all of our children in these prestigious schools. Remembering that the best choice for our children is to find the best fit for them, not the best school, because there's no such thing as the best school. It's not a one size fit all, and every school isn't the best school for every child. So just being comfortable with making changes and recognizing, like, I understand that there's a fear that comes with it. We all have a natural fear, but I don't know change that's ever come from a place that didn't have some level of fear or uncertainty in it. And I'm comfortable moving that way. So be comfortable changing, pivoting, and trying new things out. And don't look at things as a failure or a delay. Just it's a change. It's an experience, and learn to find the good in certain things.
Wow. Okay. That was for me. I'm on kid number 8, can read now. If you can imagine teaching children how to read before 4 at different ways, 8 ways in a row, I feel like I mastered it. I probably could write a reading curriculum. So I appreciate you for continually even reminding me, like, girl, it's going to be okay. And pivot, like, keep it moving. As long as you're moving forward, you're moving, right? And you have to
Absolutely.
continue to keeping that mindset. All right. So tell us, what do you have next? Where can we find you? How do we link up? Can I register? Do you have some events? Tell us about your organization and where we can support you in the next few months.
All right. So our website is intelligentmindsearlychildhood.com. I am on Instagram. It's IMEC_virtual_. On Facebook, you can find me at IMEC Learning Academy. Or if you are not in the DMV area, IMEC Virtual Learning Academy. Our school year starts September 14th. We are enrolling for hybrid and, our in-person programs. There are a couple different tiers and options for that for students. You can message me on social media. You can directly contact us on our program line at 240-670-4632. You can send a text message or, you know, leave us a voicemail or whatever it is that you choose to do to connect with us. We do have open house coming up. I don't have a specific date just yet because we're working on that. Right now, we are going to be vending at Vivid Dreams event on Saturday, which is called Dream Fest. That's at Creative Suitland in Suitland. And that's from 12 to 4 p.m. this Saturday. The RSVP is free for that. It is $10 at the door, but there are amazing things going on. These babies have built this program, and I'm so excited to see this is their first vendor event, and the kids found the vendors, they found the location, they are running their own tables. They have open mic, they're performing, they're doing their monologues, and there's other youth that are coming to perform. And I'm just excited to see it. But I'll be out there vending, sharing my information and things like that. For my programs, our programs, like I said, we have toddler school, we have preschool, and then we have homeschool, which is kindergarten through 12th grade. And then we do
Beautiful.
tutoring and mentoring. Once a month, we do sip and paints. Actually, this Saturday after that, the kids said that it was the after party, which is funny. They said it's the after party for kids. So this Saturday after the Dream Fest event, my doors for my program open from 5 p.m. until midnight for a glow in the dark parents night out where parents drop their kids off and just go live life for a moment. So, and we do that once a month so that parents can have a break and an opportunity to reset.
No, this is good. This is good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're just as busy and wild running, building, and connecting. I'm glad that our paths were able to align. I think that God is all over the homeschool community for the African diaspora around the world. My goal is to connect us all. And if there's a resource in Argentina that we need to get to the mom in South Florida, Kalecia found it.
Right?
I found it. So that's how I see myself in this big picture. And I'm so grateful for everyone who has said yes to me in all of our events. Don't forget, we're going to do July the 31st at the African American History and Culture Museum in Washington, D.C. And then we are also the very next day, we're making a weekend out of it. The very next day, we're going to be hosting the largest Black homeschool conference in the country. And I'm labeling it that now so y'all know what it is. We are
Yep.
coming out. We're coming.
Absolutely. I'm excited. My program will be there on the 31st for that field trip. And I actually will be a panelist at the conference. And so I'm super excited about the opportunity for both.
Yes. So if you want to see her coming up, you heard the dates. Now go find her. She booked and busy. Go find her. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. If you're watching on a replay, get in the comments, share some of your questions and ideas, because that's what we're here for. The community is going to rally behind anything that you want to know. And I haven't run into anyone telling me, no, I can't help you. I haven't run into that. Every single person, every single leader, everyone has been helpful. So I appreciate that. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much, my beautiful guest.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see y'all on the flip side. Deuces.
Absolutely. Have a great one.